What's goody, everybody? Welcome back to another off-season rebuild. In today's video, we're going to be talking about the Brooklyn Nets. See that? This is one of my favorite things. I just bought it. Woo-wee! Baseball jersey. But anyways, the reason we're doing the Brooklyn Nets today is because I sent out a poll on my Instagram, and the Brooklyn Nets were the leading vote getter. So we're doing Nets. Next episode, we're doing the Washington Wizards. And then the one after that, we're doing the Philadelphia 76ers. So if you want me to do a certain team, then DM me on Insta, comment under this video, or if you want more draft coverage to come out, just go to TikTok and Instagram to get to me. I'm very active and I will read a lot of the comments, all right? Without further ado, let's talk about the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets are really interesting. They were the 6th seed, but most of those wins were before the trade deadline, as Kyrie and KD kind of carried the team until that point. Now, the Nets, you got Mikal Bridges, phenomenal. I'd honestly try and move him if I were you, but I don't think you're going to. And I don't mind the fact that you're not doing it, but if you're going to trade him anywhere, trade him to the Portland Trailblazers for Sharp, Simons, and the 3rd overall pick. Since, woo-wee! Tell me that's the perfect trio to build around. Anyways, so I'm going to go on a limb and say you're keeping Mikal Bridges here. So we're going to keep him here. If you look at the roster, there's only really 2 players that make a lot of money, so to say, and that have long multi-year deals. And the first player we touched on earlier, it's Mikal Bridges. The second one is Ben Simmons. All right. Now, I want y'all to come back to this video when I say I told you so. All right. And not next year. I don't know what Ben Simmons will do next year. The year after this upcoming season, Ben Simmons is going to play decent and he's going to surprise everyone. And it's because he has 2 years left on his contract. It's going to be up. And it's going to be a contract season. He's going to play better. I mean, is he going to be back into all-star caliber form? No. But he's going to get his value up there for at least like a $15 million contract in the offseason. Come back to this video when that happens. But you got to keep him. He has no value to anybody right now. So he's going to be getting paid $34 to $39 million. I don't even know how much it is. I'll see later in this video when I look at the roster. But you got to build around him. I think he should be your starting point guard going forward. I have no problem with that. He should be the starting point guard. That's his position. And that's why him and Kyrie and KD didn't work, because they needed the ball too much. Now, Mikal Bridges, he cuts a lot, and that's where his offense comes from. Ben Simmons is a very good playmaker. It could get interesting. They're both two-way players too. So to have those guys set in stone as your second and third options, think about it. Think about it here. Brooklyn, you're a few pieces away from eclipsing what you were with that big 3 just a year ago. And talking about the big 3, because you traded all of them, you have 12 first-round picks over the next 6 years. 12. So if you do a good job in drafting players or making necessary trades, Brooklyn could be a serious contender in the next few years. Now, they're not going to be a contender this year. They're not going to be a contender the year after that. Give it 3 years. Now, I'm going to show you what they have to do in the first year in order to get to a contender eventually. So before I speak about this depth chart, I just want to say, after giving it one look, if you can really look me in the eyes and tell me this is a contender and you expected this team to beat Philadelphia, go watch some more basketball. Like, Dinwiddie is all right. He came off the bench for the Mavericks in their conference finals run, and he's your starting point guard. Bridges was never a one option. Now, I love Mikal Bridges. He's one of my he's definitely a top 8 favorite players in the NBA. And Cameron Johnson is in that top 10 range as well. Now, both of these players were fourth and fifth options on the Suns before they came over. Now, they're both young, but they're not your 1 and 2 guys on a championship team. And I really am upset that people are really that delusional and think this Nets team really stood a chance on making it out the first round. No, but this team kind of sucks for what you want to. If you think you want to compete, this team sucks. It's that simple. Dinwiddie's on a 1-year contract. You got to look to move him. Bridges has 2 years. That's your franchise guy. He's your franchise second option, realistically. He gets another year and a half to develop before you actually are serious about contending. Cameron Johnson's a restricted free agent. Now, you have to re-sign him, in my opinion, all right? You match whatever deal he gets. Since he's going to get a bag, like, people are out been talking about Austin Reeves. Well, Cameron Johnson is a $15 million per season player, and the Nets are going to have to hold on to him. Dorian Finney-Smith has a 3-year contract. Now, Finney-Smith was a vital part in Dallas's success a year ago in their conference finals run, and they traded him, and they lost Brunson, and they fell completely out. But the thing people aren't talking about, though, is that the Mavericks team was good up until the trade deadline, and then they fell off. So Dorian Finney-Smith was more vital to that team than Brunson was. Like, let me just say that right now, since the Mavericks defense sucks now. Finney-Smith, tons of value for contenders. I'm telling you that right now. Trade him. Nick Claxton. Now, his value is never going to be any higher than it is right now. So, in a realistic world, I would honestly look on to trading him. All right? His value is never going to be higher. Trade him now. Because there's a lot of players that can do similar things as him. Now, I'm not saying every player is really just like Nick Claxton, but you can definitely do better than Claxton. And I got one guy in mind, especially now that if you look at this, Ben Simmons at the power forward spot off the bench. He's going to be the point guard at the end of this video. Cam Thomas, I'm trading him. They don't use him. They don't need him. Seth Curry's an unrestricted free agent. Let him walk. Joe Harris. Now, this is going to make history on Bold Hoops with Jay Hoopa. This is going to be the first player that I ever release, all right? I'm releasing him. We're eating the $19 million contract, but we're releasing him. No, he don't belong. He's more washed than LeBron. Nah, I'm just playing. LeBron's not washed. Joe Harris is, though. Joe Harris sucks. Can't shoot anymore. Can't defend. He sucks. That man, he's not going to be in the NBA. He lost his jump shot. Ben Simmons touched on already. Day'Ron Sharpe is interesting. Now, do I think he's going to be the backup center? It depends on the moves we do. I guess you're going to have to wait and find out. He plays a lot like Kevon Looney. Kevon Looney's only 6'9". Day'Ron Sharpe's 6'11". That's as good as I'm going to put it. So honestly, a team like the Warriors would be really interesting for Day'Ron Sharpe. Now, I'm not moving Sharpe in this video, but he is a good basketball player. You're probably wondering what exactly we're going to do to have Ben Simmons be the starting point guard. And Ben Simmons just needs shooters around him, all right? And that's honestly what this team's going to be about, because he lost his confidence. Joel Embiid sticks in the paint and does his best work in the paint. And that's why it kind of didn't work out between those two. Now, if you get a floor spacing center, which the 3 free agent targets I have, that's what they really are. But the best lineup for the Nets could have Ben Simmons playing at the 5 on defense and at the 1 on offense. And that's all right, because you don't really need a 5 on offense anymore in the NBA. So the first guy I want to look at is kind of expensive, and that's why I'm not going to sign him. Christian Wood provides the floor spacing you want and need, but he's too expensive and he don't play defense. So I'm not really going to get him. Brook Lopez is perfect, but again, too expensive, but he does play good defense. The guy I really want the Brooklyn Nets to get and be their starting center is Naz Reid on Minnesota. Oh my goodness. He is legit. He is the real deal. I'm telling y'all. He can space the floor. He can play like he's a grit and grind player. I remember watching him at LSU. You know, I'm a Kentucky guy. LSU beat us bad, and Nas Reed was a big part of that. And he went undrafted, and I was like, that ain't right. He's was an undrafted player. I'm telling you, all this Miami Heat run is so nice for the NBA because it's showing how good undrafted players really are. I would put everything you have into signing Nas Reed because this is the only free agent you really need. All right. So Nas Reed, welcome to the team. The only other guy I want you to sign is kind of a re-sign. You really can't lose this guy unless you refuse to match the contract, and it's Cameron Johnson. I don't need to go in depth on why that's good. Match the contract. That's all I really have to say to you, Brooklyn. So the first trade I have for you is between the Brooklyn Nets and the Chicago Bulls. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is a huge trade since there's 6 players in this trade. But the Bulls really want to win right now. They have DeMar DeRozan for another year. Zach LaVine's locked up for 4 years. And if Lonzo didn't get hurt, this team would probably have been a lot better a few years, 2 years ago, and they were on their way. Now, I think Nikola Vucevic is going to leave Chicago, so Nick Claxton's going to Chicago to replace Vucevic. Spencer Dinwiddie's there to replace Lonzo's playmaking on offense and off-ball ability. And as I said before, I think Lonzo Ball is done in the NBA, and I said that before all the rumors came out, which is kind of crazy to me. But you get Dinwiddie. Dinwiddie, he can come off the bench or he can start. I assume Patrick Beverley might resign, but Alex Caruso and Dinwiddie are going to be the 2 point guards on that team. And then you got LaVine, you got DeRozan, and now you got your power forward and Dorian Finney-Smith, who's 6'7", great defender, and can shoot threes off the catch. Now, that's all you really need if you're Chicago at that 4 spot. Patrick Williams, as great as he might be and as great as high of a ceiling that he has, he's not able to provide that 3-point shooting along with his defense. His defense is great, and that's part of the reason why the Bulls had to move him to the bench. Now, Nick Claxton, better defender than Vucevic, and the Chicago teams in the past have really been grit and grind teams, and that's not what the team has been recently. Getting a guy like Claxton who has tried to fight Embiid, that's exactly what you need on this team. Vucevic is not tough, and he's not cut like that. So I think this is a win for the Chicago Bulls. And now if you look at the net side of it, you get Kobe White. He showed flashes of being a phenomenal shooter in the play-in tournament. I think he hit like 8 threes in that both playing games, like together. He didn't hit 8 in both. Like, no. He's not that guy, but he is a capable shooter. So I like him in a backcourt with Ben Simmons. You got Bridges at the 3. And then Patrick Williams, he can have his time to develop in this Brooklyn Nets lineup, all right? He's got length and defense and high upside. And that's exactly what you traded. You got the high upside when you traded for Mikal Bridges. Why not take a swing on a guy like Patrick Williams who shows similarity? And Patrick Williams is bigger and stronger than Bridges, so the upside is endless. Now, Dalen Terry played off ball. He has a lot of point guard capability. Check his G League stats, all right? Now, he's a point guard, right? He is 6'7". 6'7" point guard. All right, boom, off your bench. That's your 6th man, and he's got a high energy and high motor, and he can play off the ball. Perfect. Kobe White and him in the backcourt, Ben Simmons and him in the backcourt. It works. This trade makes so much sense to me. So this is the only other trade, and this is the last move I'm going to make if I'm Brooklyn. In this trade, you get Charles Bassey in exchange for Cam Thomas. Cam Thomas goes to the Spurs. If any person's going to teach him how to be a team player and whatnot, it's Greg Popovich. The net side of this, you get Charles Bassey. Charles Bassey is exactly what Nick Claxton is, except for right-handed. So the Brooklyn Nets do have 2 draft picks. One is the Phoenix Suns pick, and the other is their own pick at 21 and 22. With the 21st pick, I would take Marcus Sasser because he can shoot and defend. Perfect in the backcourt with Ben Simmons. Like, if you don't get Kobe White, then you have Marcus Sasser and him are really similar. So I like that pickup. And then for the 22nd pick, I would take Adem Bona. I think that's how I pronounce his name. Sorry if it's not. He was out of UCLA. He's got a high motor, and I think he's a nice fit on this team. I don't think he's projected to go in the second round, I think. So if he fits on your team, he fits on your team. If not, it's not like in the 22nd range you're really going to get anyone that great. Like, take a shot. I like this guy, so that's why I have him here. So if the Brooklyn Nets management is smart, this is what I think their roster should look like next year. Now, not necessarily the exact same players, which it's highly unlikely that I predict this. And I did make a lot of moves, but there's 4 players that were on this roster before I made these moves, and they're still here. And I think you got to look to sell off your team if you're Brooklyn. And that's exactly what I did here. And now you have 12 first round picks. 2 of them were just used. So you got 10 first round picks in the next 5 years. Now, if you try to compete next year, you might not even make the play in. So save yourself the trouble and just go into a rebuild now. In this lineup, all 4 guys around Ben Simmons can shoot the frickin' basketball. Can I get a round of applause? Thank you. If you didn't, that sucks. Now, I got Dalen Terry and Marcus Sasser coming off the bench. Them guys are legit. Now, Royce O'Neal probably will get traded. If you take Royce O'Neal out of this, Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson can both play the 3 and the 2. Ben Simmons can guard at the 4. Patrick Williams is coming off the bench, and he can play the 3 or the 4 and at times the 5. This team is really versatile, and that's what I like about the Brooklyn Nets. That's what I liked about them in the postseason. Even though they lost to Philly, that was the one thing they had going for them. They had versatile defenders that can shoot the ball. The only difference is that you have versatile young. The team is now young and built around Ben Simmons and Mikal Bridges. And even if Ben Simmons doesn't want to play, you just take him out, put Patrick Williams at the 4, put Kobe White at the 1, Bridges at the 2, Johnson at the 3. This team is still legitimate. Like, I don't know why I'm not hired in the front office yet, but Brooklyn Nets, let's see what you do. Don't disappoint me this offseason, please. A disappointing offseason would look like you let Cameron Johnson go. Ooh, Cameron Johnson might go to the Pistons now that Monty's there, now that I think about it. Anyways, that is a good move, though. That's a good pickup if you're Detroit. Don't let him go, though, Brooklyn. That's the one thing I ask of you. I don't care what you do this offseason. I would trade Dinwiddie. I would trade Finney Smith. Those are 2 players that you really have to get rid of. So if you don't get Cameron Johnson to stay on this team, this offseason is a complete failure. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. As always, this has been Bold Hoops with Jay Hoopa. Let me know what team you want to see next. Bye.